Hey guys, Weiss here. Welcome to another video. If you like video games, please hit that subscribe button. It is super helpful. So I saw a Metal Jesus Rocks video that he uploaded recently. His physical Nintendo Switch game collection, 233 different titles. Great collection, massive, awesome. So I thought I would show off my humble yet proud Switch collection of 7, yes, not 70, and certainly not 700, but 7 games. But I'm proud of each of these games, and I enjoy each of these games, so I want to show you guys this in a little bit. Now, I've got hundreds of Atari 2600 games, a ridiculous number of NES games, so many Intellivision and ColecoVision games, and Xbox 360 games, yada yada. But the Switch is a newer console, and thus far I only have 7 games for it. I've got a ton of, I've got a lot of, digital games for it, a fair amount, but only 7 physical games that I'm going to show you guys. I think it's a cool little collection. But very briefly, I want to talk about how I got my Switch and when I got it and all that kind of stuff. So I actually got my Switch not long after it came out. Here's the box that was sitting on my doorstop, my front door, on my porch when I got home one afternoon. Nintendo had sent me the console plus 2 games, which I'll get to in a little bit, for free because I wrote for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. The Fort Worth Star-Telegram, major metropolitan newspaper. When I wrote for them, they had around 200,000 subscribers, and which means about 1 million readers, plus a strong online presence. And I wrote things like about the National Video Game Museum. I wrote arcade features. I wrote a lot of other pop culture stuff too, like music, movies, and that kind of thing. And I did game guides like this spring preview. There's Breath of the Wild, and I would just talk about new games coming out. And Nintendo would send me games, and they sent me some handhelds. I didn't know if they were going to send me a Switch or not, but they did, and that was super awesome, and I did feature it in the paper. Now, a lot of people think it's weird that companies send out free products, but this happens in every industry. And I've been a journalist for a very long time, since 1997, and I don't grade products based on what I paid for them. I mean, I might say it's a good bargain, if it's something like that. But if I'm sent a game for free, that's not gonna make me give it a better grade or anything. It might make me more apt to review it at all because I have the game and I have that game accessible to me. But I'm gonna be honest in my critiques, whether it's a good game or not. It doesn't matter if I'm sent it or I have to go buy it or borrow it or whatever. Doesn't matter at all. So just very briefly that. Anyway, it was awesome to come home. It was like Christmas on my doorstep, and it was super cool to get this game, new game console and these 2 games for free. So I will start with those 2 that I got for free with the system. 1-2 Switch. Now, a lot of you guys have this in your collection because it was one of the early Switch titles. Confoundingly, it wasn't a pack-in title with the console. It should have been because it's basically just a tech demo with really simple games, motion control games, to show off the quirky and unusual controller and how it worked for the Switch.
1, 2, Switch!
Now, my family and I did have some fun with this game. There's a bunch of different mini games in it, like the one featured on the cover. The quick draw game, ready, steady. We had some fun with that, along with sword fight and wizard battle, dance off, milk a cow, which was okay, samurai training, and there was a number of games on here. Some of them weren't very good, like shaving. Who wants to virtually shave? That is the most boring thing I could possibly think of to do with a video game. I hate shaving anyway. I typically just wait till my beard starts itching and then I shave. I certainly don't want to do it on a video game and you're doing this. Whatever, super lame. But hey, they sent it to me free, but I would not have wanted to pay 50 bucks for this. So anyway, I'm glad to have it because we did have some fun with it. Hadn't played it much in ensuing years though. Next up is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Super open-ended game, even for the Zelda series. Gorgeous game. It's obviously, it's a lot of people on their, top 10 favorite games of all time. It's a lot of people's favorite Zelda game. It is awesome. I have put a few hours into it, but I definitely plan on playing it some more. I had planned, in fact, to play it some over the weekend, and this has happened to me several times. My wife was out of town, and I thought, I'm going to play some Breath of the Wild this weekend. Finally put in 10, 15 hours on it, but I got busy with editing a book I'm working on, and playing some in television. I played the Amico recently. You know, you guys have seen some videos of that, and so I've been playing my original in television lately and got on that kick. Anyway, Breath of the Wild, maybe next weekend I'll play some more. Great game. Next up is Star Wars Pinball. Now this is amazing because it has a lot of movies in it. It's basically very comprehensive for the Star Wars universe. It even includes an animated series and things like that. Great game. Now, as far as I remember, it doesn't have the Mandalorian, but you could get that in the eShop, which is cool for this game. And the voices, they, you know, roughly mimic the actors. They didn't pay the actors to put all their voices in this. That would have been very expensive, but they get the job done. The ball physics are good. The tables look great. It's a super fun game, and this was a must get. Once I saw a couple of YouTube videos on this, John Hancock and I believe 8-Bit Eric did reviews of this that I watched. It looked great, and it plays great, and I had to get it. It was 30 bucks originally. When I saw it on sale for 20, I grabbed it. A must own. Next up is Rayman Legends Definitive Edition. Now, I was a fan of Rayman on the PlayStation. The PlayStation was known for its 3D games, and because, you know, at the time in the late 90s with the Nintendo 64 and the Saturn, 3D gaming was all the rage, and that was finally becoming mainstream and all that. But the PlayStation has some amazing 2D games on it that look gorgeous, like Rayman. And so, of course, I enjoyed that game so much, I wanted Rayman Legends. And this game is actually easier than the PlayStation Rayman, which is nice. It's a nice combination of platforming. It's definitely a side-scrolling platform game, pretty old school in that regard. But it's got enough puzzles to keep you interested, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a great game with nice visuals, and it's got some quirky humor. And if you like the original Rayman, you're gonna like this one for the Switch. Next up, a must-own, Streets of Rage 4. Now, when this first came out, it was digital only, and I didn't want to go that route. I actually wanted a physical copy of this because I had great memories of playing the original Streets of Rage trilogy for the Genesis, and my son and I, when he was growing up, we played a ton of Streets of Rage 2 together. It was a great game for both of us to play, and I had to pick up Streets of Rage 4, but I waited for the physical edition. Now, when it came out, it was 40 bucks, which seemed a little high for me, not for most people that would waiting for a game and a game they really, really wanted. But I waited for probably about 8 months after it came out, and I saw it in a Target clearance bin for 25 bucks, and boom, and I had to have it, and it was super cool. Had a couple of things in it that were not surprises to me, including an instruction manual, and the game was actually in my console, and this little keyring here. Pretty cool, pretty darn cool. Streets of Rage 4, it's a great updating of the original game. It's got some interesting comic book style art. It's got really hard-hitting beat-em-up action, great punches and kicks. I love the special moves, and it's just great as a two-player game. Now, I played this when I first got it quite a bit in one-player mode, but then in North Texas, we got hit with this big ice storm that you guys probably heard about on the news. It got down to 0 degrees, which is unusual for Texas, and we had a massive power outage thanks to power grid failure, and we lost our power in our home for a couple of days. But my son, who lives, about 10-15 minutes away, he never lost power. So we went to his house, and I took my Streets of Rage 4, and we had a great time playing that during the apocalypse of 2021, and the big freeze. And it was just great. It was a great way to spend that time with him, and it was sort of flashback to the time we played the Genesis together. Really, really cool stuff. Next up is this 2-game compilation, Puyo and Tetris, 2 great action puzzles. Tetris is probably the greatest action puzzle of all time. I used to play the heck out of Tetris on the NES back in the day, and most iterations of Tetris since then have been pretty good, and it's certainly good on the Switch. I have no problems with it. I've played this with my wife. One reason I got this was to play some video games with my wife. We don't do a ton of gaming together because she's just not into video games too much, but she does like some casual gaming, and we will play games together from time to time, and this one definitely fit the bill. It's Puyo Puyo, I first played on my GameCube with Puyo Puyo Fever. That's a hard word to say. Puyo Puyo, whatever it is. I remember playing this on the GameCube, having some fun with that. So it was a no-brainer. I got this for $15 at Target, and my wife and I enjoy playing this together. And it does have handicapping, so if one player is quite a bit better than the other, you could, handicap it and make it where you can have some really even matches. So that's awesome. Last and certainly not least is Turok. Now this is a game that a friend of mine and a viewer of the channel and a fellow author, Blair Farrell, sent me, which was really cool. It was awesome. Very nice of him to send this to me. This is based on the 1997 Turok game for the Nintendo 64. This is a massive upgrading because the visuals look so good. We all know the Nintendo 64 3D visuals could be a little muddy, a little blurry, and man, this is a nice upgrade. I really like it. It's a first-person shooter, also with some, knives and things you can use for melee combat, but it's got, bows and arrows and some different guns you can use. And unlike most first-person shooters, it's got some tricky platforming, which I don't mind because I'm a big platforming fan. I beat Maximo on the PlayStation 2 3 times, so I obviously don't mind difficult platforming. And I've been having a lot of fun with Turok. I've played this quite a bit, and it's got cool first-person shooting action along with some platforming, which is pretty cool. Anyway, there's the 7 games in my Nintendo Switch physical collection. I do have a nice collection of digital games as well, but just wanted to focus on, I've got quite a few digital games, but I just wanted to show you guys the physical collection today, just because I was reminded of it I thought of it because of Metal Jesus's 233 games. Maybe I could add my stuff to his collection. He'd have 240. I'm sure he has these titles, but whatever. Now I'm just getting ridiculous. Let me know in the comments, what is, of the 7 games here, which is your favorite, which have you played? And let me know in your Switch collection, how many games do you have in your Switch collection roughly, and what is your favorite title? Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. I will talk to you in another video. If you're a fan of my work, you might want to consider supporting me on Patreon. For just a low fee each month, you get a lot of extra content. Another way to support the channel and my writing career is to buy books direct from me, including the 100 Greatest Console Video Games, the Classic Home Video Games series. It's like an encyclopedia set. And this massive bad boy, the NES Omnibus Volume 1 A through L. I will put links in the description of this video where you can buy books direct from me and where you can support me on Patreon. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.